If I could only read your mind with superhuman power, life would be a breeze sometimes. The good stuff's in between the lines, my thoughts and my feelings still tell 1,000 lies. But now you're taking away my sorrow, you're taking away my fear. We're not promised tomorrow, so let me hold you close, my dear. Nothing's gonna bring me down, no thinking about the past while we're building for tomorrow. Nothing's gonna bring me down.
So hello and welcome to Good Stuff in Between. This is episode 22. I'm Shaun Milne. This is a special edition with Skerryvore, brought to you in association with the HebCelt Festival. I'm delighted to be joined today by co-founder and leading light in the Scottish music scene, Daniel Gillespie. How are you?
Great, Shaun. Thanks very much for having me on.
How are the nerves? You've got so much going on, it's hard to know where to start.
Yeah, no, nerves are fine. Nerves are good. Just hoping that the weather stays amazing as it's been for the last month. That's what we're all praying for tomorrow. But no, the nerves are good. A mix of excitement, of course, a wee bit of butterflies, but very excited about tomorrow.
For anyone who's been away from social media, newspapers, telly, radio, whatever else, this is a massive year for you guys. It's 20th anniversary, big event, big celebration going on at Floors Castle tomorrow. And I think you've had to sell even more tickets than you'd originally planned.
Yeah, no, it's been incredible, the reaction, even just as soon as we announced it. We were straight up into the thousands of people, and a huge percentage of that people coming from outside of the UK, which is incredible. We've had messages from people coming from Alaska, from Australia, from Europe. No, amazing that so many people are making the journey to come to see us and celebrate with us for 20 years. We've been thinking about this for quite a while. We've been planning it for quite a while. We looked at quite a few different locations, but once we got the invite to go down and see Floors Castle, and we were just blown away by the layout of it and the castle, and it's just an amazing backdrop to do a gig. So we can't wait for it.
Tell us about the genesis of that. What was the spark of the idea of, oh, we should do something like this?
Well, we obviously did on our 10-year anniversary. We did Decade at Mossfield Stadium in Oban, and which then went on to be Oban Live for a couple of years. So we have had previous experience of doing sort of outdoor type shows. We were scheduled to do Inverary Castle for our 15th year, but sadly that was 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. Everything got cancelled, and we had to stay at home. So we were gutted. We always wanted to do a castle show. We've had this in our minds, for a long time, that we really wanted to do a castle show, and we did contemplate go back to Inverary as well, and we looked at a few other castles, but we wanted to do something new, maybe something that hadn't been done. And as I say, once we went down and saw Floors Castle, it was just an incredible layout for it, and having the full castle as the backdrop behind the stage is, I think, is an amazing thing as well. So hopefully everybody will be blown away by it the same way we were when we went to see it for the first time. So.
I mean, it's not just going to be a show, it's like a production, isn't it? I mean, it's going to be almost like a village of people will be there. You've got so many acts supporting you as well. Valtos, Trail West, the Eves, Lorettes.
Yeah.
Who am I missing here?
Nathan Carter, we've got the Tattoo Pipes and Drums from Edinburgh as well. So there's so many people. We've got a few surprise guests that we've not announced as well that are going to join us. So sadly, it's only one day and we can only squeeze so much in, but honoured that, like, a lot of people, a lot of musician friends as well, wanted to be there with us and be part of the day. So that's amazing. It's almost like a mini one-day festival more than a concert as well with the acts there. But I think if there's people coming from so far across the world to join us, it's great if we can showcase other musicians and some of our friends and make it a big party, a big celebration for them.
So how did it come around in terms of Floors itself? Did you approach them? Did you have somebody doing the work for you?
At this point, we were researching different castles and different sites. And there was maybe, I think we ended up down at a short list of three, and Floors wasn't one of them at this point. And then we got an email from one of the staff at Floors Castle because they'd recently held concerts with Brian Adams and I think it was Michael Bublé through a third party promoter. And they said, look, they're interested in doing more. Where they had the concerts was different. They weren't doing it up in front of the castle there. There was a separate field, but they thought in front of the castle would work. So we went down and had a look, and that really then it went from not being on the list as a potential venue to being a number one choice. Delighted they got in touch because we maybe wouldn't have had that there, but they've been amazing to work with. The castle's been great to work with as well. So they've been part of the whole planning alongside the event planners and alongside ourselves as well. So it's been a real team effort to get it all in place.
You talked about it being a great backdrop for the performance itself, but it's actually made for great graphics for all your social media and all the promotion that's going around it too. It's
Yeah.
pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's how wide it is as well. You know, that's what we're struggling to get images and get the full width of the castle in. It's just a stunning backdrop, and the access is great down to it's central in terms of we've got a lot of people coming from England as well that are going to come over. And it's just over the border for them. Folk from Scotland can come down. It's close to the Edinburgh airport for all the folk flying in from the US and Australia and all that as well. So yeah, it ticked so many boxes on it. So yeah, hopefully all goes well tomorrow. And I know they've already got Beluga Lagoon are going down in the summer, and I think Faithless have just been announced recently as well. So it looks as if it's probably going to be a castle that's got a concert series going on from here, which is great as well. You know.
In terms of what people can expect on the day, are you doing sort of full sort of back catalogue? Are you doing new stuff? What kind of vibes are it going to be?
Yeah, it's a mix. We've been doing that this the past 2 weeks, just spending time revisiting some old tracks, rearranging some current ones, and it's just trying to get that balance right. We've sort of all had our thoughts, shared our feedback, and then the difficult thing was narrowing it down to a set that'll we didn't want to go to. You could easily make it 30 tracks, but given there's a lot of other bands and people need to go home and everything else, the hard part was narrowing it down. So we think we've got a nice balance. No doubt there'll be tracks missed that maybe some people were hoping to see. There's two on there that I was hoping to get in, and they've not made it on the set list either. So that's the way it is, and it's nice to have that problem. But we've been around a long time, 20 years, so it's a lot of music to pick from.
Well, maybe your new single is going to be in there as you see that sings. How's that been going?
Amazing. The reaction to it's been amazing. We sort of did a live test of it. We had a couple of shows at Fraser and Alex's hometown of Livingston last month. We were just trialing a couple of ideas for the castle and stuff, and we never told anybody we were going to play it. We just played it that on those nights. So it was nice to play it live, and we managed to take that back to the rehearsals and stuff as well ahead of the castle. So we've been sitting on it for a while. Great to get it out, and the feedback's been amazing. We thought it would be nice to have some new music on the lead up into the castle and stuff as well, and have something new to play alongside the older stuff as well.
Well, I've been listening to a lot this week. I mean, it's that kind of happy, clappy, toe tappy, heart tuggy sort of spectacular that you're going to want at a big event like this. It's got sort of so many layers to it. I was really interested in what you said there about saying it's been there for a while. I was wondering if it was just something that was written or if it was written specifically for this year. You know, it's got that line, so we don't know what tomorrow brings and other elements of it that could very well fit an anniversary occasion like this. And what was the inspiration for it?
Well, Alec wrote it, and I said it's been sitting for a while. We're currently behind everything else that we're doing now. We're working on a new album for next year, and there's been a whole mix of material. We've had some folk coming in, writing and working with us as well in production, but we just felt this song felt right to release now rather than sit on it. It felt the right song to get out ahead of the castle, right song for this year, as you said, in terms of it's fit for the anniversary year, and it's just nice. I think it gives everybody a lift, the band and people following, to have some new music out as well. It might be in the new album, it might not be in the new album. We're still in the midst of that process. We've got to go back to it later in the year as well, but it just felt right to get it out and have it for the castle and have something new to play this year alongside the all the stuff that we're celebrating over the last 20 years as well.
It's really interesting too because as well as all the elements that sort of trad, maybe a little bit of rock in there as well. It's also like some kind of perfect pop as well. It's just it it's like something I've not heard in a long, long time. It just encapsulates everything in terms of
Yeah, I think there's always that mix with us. We've obviously got a couple of West Coast boys and a couple of trad players, and then we've got a couple of guys that are heavily influenced by pop and rock music and stuff. And Alec in particular that writes the songs and sings the songs. He's hugely influenced by pop music and things like the Eagles and Americana stuff as well. So it's always that's the hardest part for us is everybody's influences and trying to get that balance across the tracks. But with this one in particular, it was a great mix because the tunes, almost a West Coast traddy type tune, and then, as you said, the pop element mix in there as well. So it was good fun to record and work on over the last few while, and nice to release it.
what can you tell me about the cover art as well? Because I've been looking at comments on Facebook and various places, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, well, that's the work of our fiddle player and stroke design master Craig, who does all our artwork, all a lot of, he does the majority of all the promotional assets and content. So Craig did that for it and did an amazing job. The feedback's been amazing on that so far as well. So hopefully we can do some more promotion and some more merchandise and things around that as well throughout the year.
I'm interested too in the fact that it's came out obviously sort of Tiny Records, but through Cooking Vinyl, which is a partnership that's been there since what 2022, around about then.
Yeah, that conversation happened after we managed to get a couple of songs playlisted on Radio 2. We get introduced to Rob, the MD of Cooking Vinyl. Conversations went on for maybe about a year around a new album and new material, and we did Tempest with them working together with that team, and it worked great. We obviously managed to get our first number one album, and yeah, they've just been great to work with, and we're continuing to work with them going forward and for another album as well. As I said, next year they're coming up to Floors Castle, the team. They're coming up from London to be there as well. So no, it's been a great thing. I think the great thing about them, they had a huge amount of respect what we managed to do by ourselves independently, and they didn't want to change that massively. They left us to get on with the recording. They were always there as a soundboard to bounce off, but then we obviously managed to pull into their team expertise in terms of releases, and it's great. And there's so many Scottish acts on Cooking Vinyl's roster now as well. Some real heroes of ours. So it's amazing to be on a label like that and getting their support.
Main thrust of this podcast is about taking experiences and the knowledge and tips from people who are already in the industry, be they artists or managers or anything else, to try and answer some questions for people who are maybe just starting out or in the early stages of their career. And I thought it was really interesting that you guys have been self-releasing for so long and then managed to make that step up. You said the radio player, was that sort of Everyday Heroes and Together Again?
Yeah, the first main one was You and I, and that came around after we did. So we released You and I think it was December 2021, I think, or 2020. I can't remember. And I'm mixing up these COVID years. But basically, we released it in December. We did one of the live streams on New Year's Day, and somebody from the BBC playlist committee saw the live stream, and You and I was then suggested to the playlist committee, got accepted, and we ended up doing 7 weeks on Radio 2 playlist, going from the C to the B to the A. And that was done purely independently, just, they heard our music, saw the stream, and went on there, and then that opened the door to that relationship with Cooking Vinyl, and we managed to get, I think it was 4 more singles from the album Tempest playlisted. None as long as You and I, but we still managed to get more songs playlisted on there. Throughout the years, there's been numerous conversations with different record labels, but we just never felt it was the right thing for us at that point. And the Cooking Vinyl thing felt right in terms of it being more of a licensing deal than a full-on record deal. At our stage of our career, that felt the right fit, that we were going into a global network and getting support, but we still had a degree of control ourselves about managing, recording and things like that as well, and responsibility on shared budget and things. So it was just a good fit for us at that point. All I would say, any artists coming through, they've just got to be thorough about what is being offered by any label or any licensing, and make sure it works for you both in a music creation part, but also an ownership part and releasing part because it's great to do things independently, but it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, it can take a lot of money, and sometimes you need to give a wee bit away to get a couple of steps ahead, and it's just you making that risk assessment yourself as an artist or a band and deciding whether that's the right thing for you or not.
One of the things I remember reading from the press release that came out about the announcement was you'd said part of the reason you went with them was because they shared your passion and values for music. Is that something you think's been key to this relationship?
Yeah, I think that was great. Like what they were have been fully appreciative of what we managed to achieve by ourselves, and they weren't going to come in and just say, "Oh, that we've written all that. This is a new direction for you." And I think they were when you sign for a label, particularly a label that's got so many pop or like mainstream commercial acts, there would be the worry when oh they're going to completely change their sound. But it was never about that. Cooking Vinyl was going, look, what you're doing works. The numbers that you've done yourselves, amazing. Our aim is to try and bump you another 20%, another 30%, another 50%, whatever that can be on there. So, and I think they've got a great respect for all their artists on the roster. I think that's why there's more and more joining it. And in terms of all the other deals that are out there, we think it's a very fair deal, a very fair agreement, that it takes shared responsibility between the label and the artist, both in management and budget and things like that as well. So, no, we've been very happy with it.
Have you learned a lot from this as well? Because obviously you've been doing it for so long, and there's a bunch of other things I'd like to maybe sort of talk about in terms of the business side of the industry. But you as an individual, you as a band and an organization, have you learned more from being on playlists, dealing with the BBC, dealing with record labels now?
Yeah, you're always learning this. We've always been doing this 20 years now, and you're learning every day, especially like technology changing things so quick. And even Cooking Vinyl admitting that to the point as well, is going, it's so hard to stay up with the trends, particularly around the streaming platforms. What you think's a working system or model on the streaming platforms, next minute the algorithms can change and it's completely different. So I think in any walk of life, whether that's this industry or any other industry, you've got to be on your toes and react as things happen. But I think the most important thing is believing in what it is what you're doing, what you're releasing, what your music is. I think changing what you are to try and just try and tick a box or fit an algorithm, that's not going to, it might get you somewhere in the short term, but it's not going to stack up in the longer term. So the main thing for us is trying to stay rooted in what's been successful for us and then learn all the time, learn from our audience, learn from the label, learn from ourselves in terms of what works and what doesn't work, particularly around social media and streaming and stuff, and then try different ways. I think we've always been like that. Even before streaming came in, we've always been, we've always tried to push ourselves and try and find ways to for more people to hear our music or reach new audience and stuff as well. And it's hard. It's so busy online. That's the hardest part is trying to break through when there's so much noise. And even for us, like because we're a bit older now, things like TikTok, just like we are struggling to keep up with that. To be honest, and some of it doesn't feel right. I think we tried some things in TikTok and we went, something that's not really our personality or our audience possibly. So there's things like that that's hard as well. That you're obviously trying to reach your audience through the different platforms, but some platforms have a real particular way that you need to shape the content for it to be successful. And if it doesn't feel right to you, you can't really change what you are massively. Then it's no longer your music or your product.
It's real fascinating as well. I've been going to a few sort of conferences with like the Scottish Music Industry Association and Managers Forum and stuff just recently, and you get the same story coming through from artists and others there, which is just how hard it is, how busy it is, how much time it takes, particularly if you're an individual or there's two or three of you and you're maybe doing another job to help pay for what you're doing as well, and almost kind of pressure for people to do something that they aren't comfortable with. So what you're saying there about staying true to your values and yourself and your music's probably really, really important.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's one of these things. It's it's almost flipped all the industry in terms of your music release was the thing that generated. You didn't really have to gig that much. It's flipped now completely. It's like live touring is what drives and makes us be able to survive. I mean, we managed to get our first number one album after at that point would have been 18 years, and we reached number one, and 6 months later we were still paying off the cost of recording that album. That's the level of difficulty you're at. And the reality is what came round from the album is it helped our live shows. And the live shows is really what allows us to do this for a job. Particularly when there's as many of you, it's maybe different if it's just one person. But when you're in a band and there's a lot of people involved, and then you get managers and agents and labels and stuff, once that pot gets divided down, it's a very, very low return. I think streaming is incredible in terms of the ability for people to have access to music that, anywhere in the world, and from music from any artist in the world. I just still think there's something that needs fixed on the remuneration side. It seems if you're going to compare it to things like Netflix and Prime and visual art form that's released, you're not getting a Netflix subscription and then accessing every single movie or every single documentary around the world 24/7, 365 days a year. You're getting it in selection. And it feels that's the way music needs to change. That yes, make music accessible, because that's part of the amazing part of Spotify and Apple Music is people can access music on the move and things like that. But it feels very unfair that they can just then get unlimited access to every single song forever. It feels as if they discover you and they like you, they should then be able to say, something, I'll pay 50 pence or 99 pence and have that song forever. And I think most people would do that. If it's a song they absolutely loved, they would do that. And then the difference in that for the artist is game changing. Because right now we're talking like 0.000034 pence. That's how low it is per stream at the moment, so.
Yeah, and that's what makes what you're doing live so very, very important. How did you start to build that audience as well? Because I mean, I've done journalism for like 30 odd years and stuff to fairly sort of high end. I've done tragedies, crime, war reporting, a whole bunch of stuff. And see, trying to book gigs for people, it's like the hardest thing in the world. I've never encountered an industry which is so frustrating and difficult to get through. Was it just the early days building up your reputation? Did you get lucky? Was it you changed what you did?
I think there's a lot of just graft and going out. In the early days, it was all pubs, doing pubs and trying to build a following organically. And that's not really stopped. And then it's about a bit like your recorded music is continually trying to improve. And we're doing that all the time. We're reviewing a live show, we're listening back, we're watching back, we're getting feedback from people going, how can we make the live show better? How can this part of the show get better, this part of the show get better? And the thing is, because we're traveling internationally with it now, what's the right performance for Scottish audience and gigs here isn't necessarily the right set for doing in America or Australia and things. So you've got to adapt what is essentially a product to whatever audience you're going to be going to as well. And I think we've got better at that over the years in terms of going, how can we be adaptable and make the best show possible for that tour or that crowd or that festival on there. And then you're just hoping that you've impressed the audience enough, you've impressed the promoter enough, whoever it is that's going to be in charge, to then get a chance. And we've been lucky, we've had a lot of return visits to either venues or festivals or tours and stuff as well. Even last year, that was our first tour to Australia, our proper tour to Australia. We'd been over to play a festival in Australia, our first tour. And the plan off the back of that was if it went okay, we would do it again in 2 years' time. But it went well and we impressed the promoters enough. They went, no, we need to do this again next year because the momentum's there. What you did at the live performances, what you did in social media things, we need to move quickly on that. And that's the sort of stuff you just need to react to. So all of a sudden, what you were planning and doing for 26 touring wise, you're going, wait, we're going to need to restructure this and make the choice to go back out to Australia. So there's a lot of planning, a lot of management that goes on behind the scenes. It's not just turning up and doing the gigs and that's it. There's a lot of people involved in various parts of it. But I think one thing we're just always trying to push and be better, push each other to be better, and push the people that represent us to be better as well. So.
It's probably one occasion where social media really helped you guys in terms of when some of your equipment got nicked.
Yeah, the promoters like that straight away. We need to do this. There's a PR story here straight away. If we come back, they'll be saying we're coming back with the bagpipes that were stolen. So that's the sort of stuff you have to try and make a positive out of a negative. Fortunately, Alex not he's not got his guitar back. We obviously got the pipes back, which is great. But I think Alex's guitar now is maybe gone, which is frustrating. But as I say, we just need to try to make a positive out of the negative, and the reaction to it was incredible. You know, like absolutely incredible. We were it was the day we were leaving that it happened, so we were on a flight and didn't realise until we landed at the points like how far the reach had went. You know, we were literally getting messages from all over the world, people try to help, and sure enough, it went on to national radio in Australia, and that was the trigger to find somebody finding the bagpipes down an alley. You know, so that's the real power of social media. The positive power is obviously a lot of negative stuff that happens on it as well, but that's the real positive side. It's got the ability to do that, you know.
There's also a lot of love for you guys on social media just now, is the fact that you're going back to Stornoway for what will be a fifth time at HebCelt.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that, and we were talking about it the other day. We remember it feels like yesterday that we were just starting out Skerryvore. It would have been definitely the first couple of years, and we were playing at McNeil's bar at the square and busking in the streets and hearing the music from the big top in the distance, and we could see the tent in the distance, and sort of saying, I hope one day we get the chance to play in that tent. So to be going back and be headlining the big tent on the Saturday night, it's just like dream come true, you know. So we can't wait to do that in the summer, and it's a festival we've always absolutely loved. As I said, even before we get the chance to play at it, we were hanging up in Lewis for the weekend and jamming around the bars and stuff like that. So it's incredible to be going back and playing the tent on the Saturday night.
It's also just been announced as well that you're going to be new entrants to the HebCelt Hall of Fame. How does that feel?
Amazing. It makes us feel a bit old, I must say, but we get the phone call from Michelle when we were in the studio rehearsing for Floors and told. So, yeah, a huge honour. When you see the names that are on there as well, it's a huge honour um, to be that, and just icing the cake for us to be going up and headlining the tent in our 20th year and then being inducted to the Hall of Fame is amazing. So, yeah, it's a special year and lots of nice things happening, and it's good to be able to celebrate and enjoy 20 years together as well. So that's an amazing thing.
What does it feel like when you're on the main stage at HebCelt and you're looking out into the tent and just seeing that sea of faces?
It's brilliant. I love gigs like that. We all do. We thrive in that audience. People always ask, "Oh, is it nerve-wracking going out and playing to big crowds and stuff?" I think a lot of us feel the same way. That's not at all. When you're playing to that number of people, it's just great energy, and you feed off that. Probably the most nerve-wracking gigs are doing intimate things to 50 people, or doing like live recordings on radio or TV. That's the stuff that's nerve-wracking. But the gigs itself, and that's just the energy on the on Lewis at HebCelt and all the islands. You know, if you do the island festivals, it's just a great buzz, it's a great energy.
Do you have more of an empathy with the fact that it is an island festival?
I think so. I think that's natural, just because that's where we started the band. You know, island hopping every summer, you know, around all these islands and playing pubs. And we've still got loads of friends on all the islands from those days as well. I think that's the funny thing is we always laugh at this with people would be hanging out in pubs when at parties, and we go back now and everybody's got kids and families and has to be sensible. But no, it's amazing to go back to the islands, and as I said, we have just got great memories throughout the years from doing that organic growth as we talk about of playing the bars, you know, and just taking it step by step. And yeah, very privileged that we've managed to do that and eventually get ourselves to the main stage on the Saturday night at HebCelt.
What can folk expect on the Saturday as well? I mean, you mentioned there's a couple of songs you couldn't fit into floors, maybe.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think what we want to do is make it a real 20th anniversary and have some guests and some surprises as well on the night. We want to do that as many times as we can throughout the year. We obviously won't be able to do everything to the level of Floor's Castle because we've got more time and we've got more control production wise there. But the aim still to do, you know, make all these performances a celebration of 20 years, and looking forward to that a lot. So.
And if you were to sum up HebCelt and say five words, what would it be?
That's hard. These ones are always hard. I would say culture, island, community, music, and great times. It's always good times, good energy there. So, uh, but we're all looking forward to it. We have a brilliant time. Like the last one was amazing at HebCelt as well. So we can't wait to come back and do the Saturday this time. It'll be brilliant.
So just very briefly, because I've got a few quick questions to ask, and then I'll let you get off. In terms of you know, Skerryvore itself, it's also it's moved on. You've now got there's a record label, there's a sort of music sort of management company. There's the other festivals that you're involved in. How is it for you in terms of it being more than just music? It's the whole business of it, the whole industry of it as well. Is that something you just fell into through the band, or is it just been a natural progression?
Yeah, it's I think we just always had that. I don't know. There was a sort of history of sort of entrepreneurial approach to um, music, particularly with growing up in Tyree and other bands that were ahead of us, like so. Whereas when we started, Skerryvore, Gus and Andrew were already a couple of years in with Skipnish and seeing what they were doing. They set up their own record label so they could release their first CD. They were running their own tours and stuff like that. So Gus was 3 years above me at school, so he was always an inspiration in that sense. So you were seeing what is possible. And at first, when we got together with Skerryvore, there was no dreams of really it being a job or a career in. We were just doing it for a bit of fun. But then you were seeing what Gus and Andrew were doing with Skipnish and going, actually, there is a chance we could do this and be more regular. And it's really just been learning all the way and taking experience and learning off other bands, learning off other people. I've always had an interest in the business side of things of everything, whether that's music or just general business stuff. So I've always had a role more leaned on that than some of the other guys will be purely focused just on writing music and stuff. So we've got a good balance, and as I said earlier on, Craig did the artwork for the new album. He did graphic design at university, so he's taken his skill set and established that. And he does artwork for obviously for us for the events we're involved in, but loads of other bands in the scene as well. So I think for anybody coming through, it's going. You've always got skill sets amongst groups of people or yourself. If you're a musician, you might also be good at art. You might also be good at business. You might also be good at social media. It's going, what can you do? But also don't be afraid to get help if you've not got that skill set in-house. Don't be afraid to go and reach out to people and go, it'd be nice to work with them, it'd be nice to collaborate with them. That might be musically, it might be collaborate with them on business or their experience and stuff as well. So I think that's what we've always tried to do, and we're trying to do that more because the biggest challenge, certainly for me personally, is time. I've got a young family now and stuff as well, and I'm like proactively trying to. It was different before I had kids. You could pretty much work 24/7 and get the odd bit of sleep, but that's very different now. And what's important is you spend time with your family and you look after yourself in terms of rest, especially as you get older and you get to my age. So it's trying to get that balance right. So we're constantly trying to get new people come in and work with us and link with new teams and new people, and that's probably the next step for us going forward is keep refining that. And if you find great people, keep working with them because it's amazing the energy you'll get when you find good people like that, and it'll make you better as well, as a band, as an individual and stuff as well. So I think that's really important.
I can think of fewer better partnerships in Skerryvore and HebCelt, so I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys up there. Just before you go, what was the music of your youth, and do you still carry it with you?
Yeah, Blair Douglas was probably the biggest inspiration for me growing up. Just obviously an accordion player, but you know his innovation around the arrangements and composing tunes and stuff that was a massive thing for me. I was right into dance music as well, things like the Shaman and things and all that as well. So I still that's if you were probably looking at my phone playlist, it would be mixed with Blair Douglas and then dance stuff, absolute random mix, but that's probably across the board with the Skerryvore guys. If you went to everybody's, it would be a completely different mix of music on there. But no, I'm still a huge fan of Blair and anything that's trad, that's pushing boundaries. Particularly we've obviously got the boys from Baltos. They love what they're doing. Before that, you'd obviously boys like Nightworks and things like Wild Elephant Sessions. There's so many, and I think the really cool thing is like everyone's quite unique in what they do, whether that's Talisk, whether that's Nightworks, whether that's Elephant Sessions. Everybody's got their own take on it as well, and I think that's an amazing thing. The scene right now is just from where we were when we started to where it is just now is just incredible, you know, and the amount of bands that are doing really well and doing it for a job. So it's a long way that continue.
What's the last song or podcast you listened to?
Oh, last song I listened to was Calvin Harris, Blessings, believe it or not. And the last podcast I listened to was Duncan Ferguson's interview on The Rest is Football. That's my other main passion is football. So my podcasts are mainly either football or music ones. So.
You did a bit of coaching for a while, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. Well, that's I studied. The rest of the boys all did music. I did sport in the community. Then did a year down at the academy at Largs and spent 4 years, I think, 4 or 5 years working with Rangers, doing football in the community and working at Murray Park, or it was Murray Park. It's now Auchenhowie. But then just came to a point. Skerryvore was becoming. I was juggling them both, but I was having to go away and do tours and more international stuff. I was missing sessions and having to dip out coaching sessions. I just didn't feel it was fair for the kids, seeing a different coach week to week. You know, if you were going to be doing it, you had to be there all the time. So it was a hard choice, especially being a Rangers supporter and getting the chance to work for the club you supported and things. It was a really difficult choice, but I think the right one at the time, given the pathways and what I felt was the best one. Not an easy choice at all. And I do wonder it would have been nice to what could have been if I'd stayed working in football all the time. But that's the choices you just need to make and do these things. And thankfully, it's been successful. And it's been my job and stuff. But I've been back doing voluntary coaching with the regional team in Glasgow and stuff as well. And that's been nice to get back to that after so long. So.
Exclusive album launch or festival?
If I had to pick one of the two, exclusive album launch.
Favourite food or rider?
It's difficult. If I've seen food, steak.
If you could collaborate with anyone live or from history on a project, who would it be and why?
Maybe just because he's in my mind right now, Calvin Harris. If we could do that with a Skerryvore track, that'd be amazing.
Let's do it. For sure. Restaurant, cinema, or lazy Sunday brunch?
Oh, I'm a brunch man, all the way.
Digital addict, or can you switch off?
I would like to say I can switch off. Not so much from the being digital stuff, but I find switching off difficult, but maybe not from social media or anything, just from thinking about work and stuff like that and my commitments. I'm trying to get better at the switching off, put it that way.
What does life look like after you stop?
Hopefully spending more time in Tyree, playing golf and try to get better at that. That's the hope one day.
One artist everyone should be listening to right now?
I'm going to say The Lone Bellow. That's coming to mind straight away. An amazing band.
What's the best piece of advice or helping hand that you've been given that you'd share with others?
Do something you believe in.
And from where you started to where you are now, what was the good stuff in between?
I think meeting all the friendships we've made all across the world. That's if I was to say that the best thing you can take from it all is just that there's obviously the amazing experiences, amazing gigs, but there's the amount of friends we have, and I think we're seeing the sort of fruits of that. The amount of folk that are making a commitment to come to Scotland tomorrow and be here with us this weekend, like so many friends. So that's the amazing part of it is you're making friends for life. Doing what we do across the world, so I would say that.
Well, Daniel and the rest of the band, all the very best for the big gig. We look forward to seeing you in Stornoway. Keep listening to the single folks as well, and we'll put in some details in the show notes of where you can maybe get last minute tickets to go along. We'll see you up the road in Lewis as well. Thanks so much for being so generous with your time and for answering all those questions, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Shaun. Pleasure to speak to you, man. Thank you.
I know now how I went so wrong. I disconnected from the power, forgot to switch myself back on. The good stuff's in between the lines.
Thanks so much to Daniel there from Skerryvore for such a brilliant chat at a very, very busy time. It's going to be a fantastic weekend ahead for the band. Well deserved. Everyone's going to love it. And I cannot wait to see them up at HebCelt come July. The Good Stuff In Between podcast is brought to you in association with Skoog Media Associates. It's hosted, written, edited and produced by myself, Shaun Milne. Our title music is Nothing's Going to Bring Me Down, courtesy of Willie Campbell, and you can find out more about Willie and his music at williecampbell.co.uk and the Tumbling Souls. You can follow us on social media on LinkedIn, Threads, Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to our free newsletter, Good Stuff In Between, on Substack. I'll be back with a new show very, very soon, so bookmark us wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.
Thinking about the past while we're building for tomorrow.